Ash's Squirtle, Bulbasaur, and Charizard are back. Let's talk about it. We just got the 5th episode in the Pocket Monsters Aim to be a Pokemon Master series, Burn, the Squirtle Squad Brigade. And it was all I could ever hope for. If you enjoy these episode reviews right after the episode airs, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe as it truly helps support the channel, and we're on that final push for 30k subs. But enough of that, let's talk about this episode. As I so humbly predicted last week, this episode was really fun to watch. It had Squirtle, Bulbasaur, and Charizard as the main premise of this episode, but we also got Team Rocket being a really nice secondary part of this episode. For Squirtle, it was fun seeing him back with his boys, putting on a show on their Team Rocket's management, and also just coming back to fight down the fires. In fact, it was just cool to see them in general because, as you guys may know, Squirtle is my favorite Pokemon of Ash's from the Kanto series, so it was really fun to see him back. It's always cool to see Pokemon that he's not with anymore back in the show. Even Pokemon in Oak Slabs are fun, right? But this one's even more special because he's almost never with Ash. In fact, he hasn't been with Ash in such a long time, but he did get referenced in his battle versus Leon. You may be thinking that Team Rocket and the Squirtle Squad being together was kind of random, but actually it's not when you remember that Meowth and the Squirtle Squad have a connection. Like way back in the Chronicles era or the Pokemon channel videos, Meowth and Squirtle Squad actually work together, so that's kind of maybe where they came in. Maybe Meowth hit him up in the Rotom phone and like, yo, Squirtle Squad, I got you a good deal. I'm gonna give you some food if you guys can help us put on this show. Because obviously Squirtle didn't know that he was being used for profit, but that's the case. In the beginning of the episode, when Ash, Misty, and Brock see the board of Squirtle's performance, it was cool when he sent out Bulbasaur and Charizard and explained to him about the situation, how they were shocked and Bulbasaur was jumping for joy. Like, that was just super adorable for me, and it was really fun to see the three of them interacting in this episode. Of course, the whole premise of this episode was when they went to the show and at the end Squirtle was taking a picture with a fan. They wanted to take a picture with Squirtle, but Team Rocket didn't allow them to. And so they're like, oh, well, that sucks. We'll see him later, I guess, because they got pointed to at a place to meet them later. And when they're walking away, Squirtle noticed that and is pretty sad that his friends didn't want to go and talk to him after having not seen them for such a long time. Then, of course, there was some bickering between the OG trio where, you know, Squirtle just obviously felt betrayed by his friends, and they were like, what the heck? They didn't know why, you know, Squirtle was mad at them. But it all ended up being okay at the end after they bonded very well over putting out a fire, which honestly, it makes no sense. Like, they're supposed to be like the best Squirtle Squad, but they need to help from like everybody to help take that fire down, but that's a different story. In fact, when they were putting out the fire, I really wish that Brock had used his Marshtomp or Ludicolo, or heck, even using Geodude to throw some dirt at the fire would have been cool instead of just controlling the crowd. One of the Pokemon that was saved in this fire was a Venonat, who was really cool all throughout this episode, just seeing this really derpy Venonat just being like completely lost at everything, just going his own way. He's in his own planet, he lives in his own world, and well, he also helped making this part of this episode, so thank you to this Venonat, which Misty also got scared of despite not being scared at Tracy's Venonat, but whatever, I guess she doesn't hang out with Tracy that much anymore. And finally, the world building of this episode was just so great. Like, lots of Pokemon Journeys episodes only have like Ash, Go, and like background trainers, but this episode actually had like a bunch of running parts. We had Team Rocket, we had the Venonat's trainer, we just had the Officer Jenny's. We had so many like key parts in this episode with different trainers and Pokemon moving around in the background. Like we had the Camerupt and Hariyama as the construction workers. I really like how they had a really good world building, and it didn't just focus on our main characters, but it actually focused on a lot of other aspects. I really enjoyed that part of this episode. Of course, at the end of the episode, Latias is still watching over Ash. As we inch closer with only, like 5 or 6 episodes left in the series, it's only inevitable before Ash catches his Pokemon, or we get the conclusion of that. Now for my rating of this episode. I think that I'm going to be giving this episode a 9 out of 10. I really like this episode, and of course, yes, 100% my rating is biased because I do love Squirtle, Bulbasaur, and Charizard. I mean, it's just a biased pick, I'm going to be honest with you, but it was a really fun episode nonetheless. To me, this was easily the best episode we've had so far in this mini-series, but only time will tell if it'll get trumped. I would really like to know your guys' thoughts about this episode in the comments below. What good points, what bad points do you think it had? Of course, another great point that I had was the OST being a banger as usual, and it was cool to see the bonding moments of them as a flashback as well. And a bad point being, when Charizard and Bulbasaur saw the fire in front of them, they should have put their differences with Squirtle aside and helped everyone out. Instead, they just kind of blocked themselves off and didn't help anything, which I thought is really weird considering the growth that they have, and especially Bulbasaur, who is such a responsible Pokemon and takes care of the Oak Slab Pokemon. That's enough for my review for this episode. Let's take a look at the preview trailer and make my predictions for the next episode of Pokemon Journeys. Another Gyarados. Man, they really love Gyarados right now. I'm surprised if you haven't seen Misty's yet. Looks like Pikachu's gonna get split up from Ash, and it really reminds me of the SpongeBob song, This Girl Is Not a Home. I'm gonna guess that they're gonna blast off in the beginning of the episode, and then at the end of the episode, he's gonna reunite with Pikachu. I mean, there's no doubt about that, but it is gonna be fun to see Pikachu and Meowth interact, and the interactions that Ash is gonna have. Looks like we're getting another Spearow moment here as well. So overall, this episode does look very promising too, I'm not gonna lie. This episode, when I originally saw the title of this episode, I was kind of skeptical, but after seeing this preview trailer, I honestly think it's not gonna be a bad episode at all. What do you guys think? Do you guys think it's gonna be a good one or a bad one? Let me know in the comments below. If you made it this far into the video, I want to thank you and welcome you to join my Discord server. We just passed 700 members and are currently in the middle of a Pokemon Showdown tournament with another one coming soon. So if you want to be a part of that, come join and be part of the posse. Today's question of the day is, which of Ash's old Pokemon did you want to see get an episode dedicated for in this miniseries? For me, my answer would have been Squirtle regardless, so I'm content with this episode, but if I did have to pick another, it would be Primeape. With a few episodes left, it's not looking likely, but regardless, that's what I want. Let me know your answers in the comments below. I also want to hype you guys up for my upcoming discussion video, which should be out on February 22nd. It's the follow-up from my last discussion video, but this time I'll be talking about my favorite Pokemon for Ash and each type. We also got the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet anime announced, and that's coming in April, so I think it's only going to be a few weeks after the last episode of this series, but not too much longer, which is good to see, and it does look pretty cool. What do you guys think about it? But with that being said, it's been your boy Luap, and I'm out.